Welcome back to the session on Introduction to World Theatre. Today we are going to deal with Greek theatre. Greece as the birthplace of drama. Most of the discussions about drama begin with the theory of its origin in the ancient Greece, despite the most recent refutations in favor of rituals and their theatrical significations in the birth of drama. It is imperative to substantiate a theory of beginning with reference to historical research in the field of theatre history. Richard Schechner points out, origin theories are irrelevant to understand theatre. Ritual is one of the several activities related to theatre. The role of play, games, dance, sports, music, magic and art in instigating a theatrical culture is irrefutable everywhere in the world. In this understanding, Greek theatre, as it is understood generally, is not the only point of origin of drama in the ancient world or in Greece. The Greek theatrical tradition, derived from myths, legends, rituals and historical events, is the most visible of the traditions of the Western drama due to its relatively well-preserved textual existence and continuing influence upon theatre. The legacy of this tradition can be found even in cinema, which as a medium adapts the classical Greek texts and their dramaturgy for communicating to an audience of modern period. The importance of studying the Greek theatre is underscored by this continuity of the tradition in various forms. The following is a brief study of Greek theatre with emphasis on its genealogical persistence in theatre history. Historical context of the origin of Greek drama. The geographical position of Athens as a peninsula with numerous bays, harbours, islands and long coastlines served as a connecting point between the East and the West. As a center of trade, it harbored various cultures of the known world and formed a cosmopolitan hub of art, and its mercantile class brought home the achievements of the wider world. A number of city-states emerged by the 6th century BC, and Corinth, Sparta and Thebes were powerful among them. Yet, the 5th century witnessed the rise of Athens after annexing the large area Attica as the dominant city-state, having outposts in Italy, Sicily, France and Spain. Athens had developed a form of democracy utilizing the economic boom from the newly found resources of olive, silver and finest clay in the region, and created a new entity known as citizens, but excluded women and slaves from citizenship. The political expression of democracy resorted to a theatrical space where citizens speak, discuss and decide things related to the everyday functioning of the state. Under Pericles, Athens in 5th century BC created a new culture of art and philosophy that exerted tremendous influence on Europe for the next 2000 years. The tyrants of the time wanted to quell the discontent among the people by organizing festivals and thereby creating a sense of unity and belongingness. There were 4 festivals, namely rural Dionysia, celebrated around Attica and Linnea in late January, Anthesteria in mid-February and City Dionysia in late March or early January. The later combination of tragedy, comedy and satire in the competitions might well be served the purpose of a carnivalesque. Dithyrambs, a type of performance competition held in honor of the god Dionysus, flourished in the 5th century BC, gave birth to a new form of expression called tragedy. The social conditions of the newly formed domineering city-state and the need to resist foreign incursions resulted in the idea of a culturally unified society materialized through theatre. The formation of a new space for communication in which the citizens of the state could interact and build a feeling of kinship was the imminent goal of drama. The influence of epic, lyric and the poems of Arion, the great poet, gave a narrative form to tragedy, and characters started speaking with their own voice. Homer's great epics, developed through the narrative traditions of more than a millennium, gave stories and themes for the drama later. From the account in Poetics, Thespis is believed to be the first actor recorded in the history. The pioneers of this kind of drama were Thespis, Corylus, Pratinus and Phrynichus. Among them, Phrynichus made tragedies that were adapted later as Danaides, Phoenician Women and Alcestis. His Fall of Miletus, produced in 492 BC, reproduced the tragedy of the town Miletus when the Persians conquered it. The trauma produced by the performance was so severe that the audience wept hysterically and the dramatist was fined 1,000 drachmas. It is noteworthy that Phrynichus was the first to use female characters, though not female actors. The great destruction of Athens by the Persian Empire in 480 BC soon followed by the rebuilding of the town and the Acropolis. In Hellenistic period, the period following Alexander the Great's conquests, the tradition was carried out to Iraq and Syria. The Peloponnesian War against the Spartans followed a decline in Athens' power, but this period witnessed the performance of old tragedies again. Yet, the dominant form was comedy, especially new comedy full of episodes about the lives of ordinary citizens. From this period, works of Plautus and Terence survived. Now we move on to study the characteristics of ancient Greek dramatic culture. The performance was more important than anything about drama in the classical period. So the performance space carved out at the hillside next to the shrine of a god accommodated a large number of spectators who watched the action on stage in broad daylight. The knowledge of acoustics made every word audible to all seated in the auditorium, an architectural marvel. A chorus of 12 to 15 people performed the play accompanied by the music at the Dionysian festival. The performance space for the chorus was a simple circular space known as the orchestra. Beyond it, the scene, from which the modern word scene was derived, or structure, was built for the actors. The area in front of the scene house, level with orchestra, is called proscenium, from which the modern word proscenium emerged. Open-air municipal structure situated on a flattened terrace at the foot of a hill, the slope of it enabled the view of the audience, and theatron means a watching place was created for spectators. Some theatres could accommodate as much as 14,000 people. The most important part of Dionysia was the competition between the tragic playwrights. Each submitted 3 tragedies and a satire play, but in 486 BC, marking a departure from the didactic tradition, comedy found a place in the prestigious festival. According to Aristotle, Aeschylus added the second actor, deuteragonist, and Sophocles brought the third, tritagonist. It is noteworthy that the tragedies were enacted only once till the beginning of Hellenistic period. As a result, only a handful of tragedies survived the passage of time. The division into tragedy, satire and comedy is very important to understand the Greek drama. The tragedy, the highest form of representation, depicted the life of great persons, focusing on the fall of hero due to the tragic flaw. The satire play was not a serious genre because in the competitions it was presented after 3 tragedies by a dramatist. In other words, it was either a pendant or an amusing engagement with a previous text. The half-human, half-animal creature, satire, symbolizes the nature of satires performed to praise fertility gods. Similarly, comedy was belittled as a low form of drama, depicting the common people's life for the sake of laughter. Yet, both these forms flourished in Greece as part of its theatre culture and spread to other cultures. Key figures, texts and years in Greek drama. Among the many ancient playwrights of Greece, Aeschylus 525 to 454 BC is the first to build the towering words of tragedy, and his texts remain unaffected by the perils of time. He was born not in Athens but in Eleusis, one of the last regions to be incorporated into Attica. After fighting different battles for his country, he composed nearly 8 dramas. The Aeschylus canon is often controversial, but the extent is 7 texts. the Persians 472 BC, the 7 against Thebes 467, the supplements 464, Agamemnon 458 BC, the libation bearers 458, Eumendes 458 BC, Prometheus bound 431 BC are the well preserved source of ancient theatre culture. Aeschylus was the winner of the competition for the next 50 years since the first staging of the Persians. When Sophocles and others did not connect their combination of tragedy, comedy and satire, Aeschylus did so, forming trilogies and tetralogies. The trilogy allowed the dramatist to depict events over 3 plays, to bring characters on stage in more than one drama, to witness their personal development, to pursue the consequences of actions beyond the action of one drama. These tragedies are straight in structure, and the characters in action reveal themselves with the chorus playing a central role throughout. He uses an unusual vocabulary with mastery over the sonorousness of the words, especially in choral odes and lyrical exchanges. The use of allusions, pun and complex images, making a pattern for grand spectacle, are his uniqueness. His tragedies encompassed a very strong religious philosophy of the times that engaged both humans and gods in perpetual conflicts of interest in an uncertain moral universe. Sophocles 496 to 406 BC is always put second to Aeschylus in order of time and importance. According to some accounts, his debut Tripolomes brought victory over Aeschylus in 468 BC. As an actor, educated civil servant, leader of a cult that worshipped Asclepios, he excelled in the public life of his times. Hence, the praises showered upon him in his lifetime deified him and accorded him with the status of a god posthumously. Some of the hagiographies credit him with 130 plays, but we have only 7 complete plays extant in his time. Ajax 440 BC, Antigone 442, Trachinian woman 430, Electra 410, Oedipus the king 409, Philoctetes 409, Oedipus at Colonus 405. The drama of Sophocles follow a definite pattern, starting with a prologue followed by a series of scenes with battles and conflicts between principal characters, choral songs and interwoven among those scenes. Unlike Aeschylus, his plays do not end with the downfall of the hero. For instance, in Antigone, the protagonist is gone from our view in line 943, but the play continues with the arrival of Tiresias, death news of Antigone and Hymen, and the final suicide of Chion's wife. Similarly, his later plays, especially Philoctetes, have episodes on episodes forming a complex narrative. In short, Sophocles advanced the concept of drama into epic dimensions, focusing on the actions of powerful figures rather than on the psyche of characters. Aristotle hence called him the most perfect tragic poet. Sophocles' reduction of lines given to chorus ushered the period of characters in drama, and his use of dramatic irony opened up a new way to look at humans' moral universe. Euripides 480 to 407. Euripides is the most controversial among the trio of the classical period because of his iconoclastic and unconventional views regarding drama. But the accounts about his life are not reliable. This is because they are either fantasies of scholars or panegyric of fans that run stories like his life in a cave with a lot of books or his death by the attack of royal animals. There are about 90 plays credited to him or 22 productions at the city Dionysia, but we have 19 plays extant now. Medea 431, Hippolytus 428, The Trojan Women 415, The Bache 410, The Cyclops 408 and Orestes 408 are important among them. The down-to-earth realism that staged common people like nurses, tutors, eunuchs and farmers, etc. gave voice to democracy in its true sense. Plots of intrigue, rescue and supplication served the dramatic tension and illuminated characterization. The dramatic illusion or the fourth wall that exists to maintain the false sense of the real had been questioned at times in Euripides. A self-reflexive address to the audience or intertextual reference was often employed as a tool to actualize this. The political innuendos, descriptions of historical events and real people of his times elevate his plays into critique of life and society. Aristophanes, 450 to 385 BC. Aristophanes is the greatest writer of comedy, a genre that was disparaged by scholars of the ancient times. But his comedies made a number of wonderful re-entries even in recent times because of their political satire and critique of power. His themes were derived from the everyday life of the society, sometimes from personal histories. Let's move on to see some of the important works. Ancarians, 425, Knights, 424, Wasps, 422, Lysistrate, 411 and Frogs, 405 BC. The other tragedians. There are almost 200 lost tragedians in 5th century Greece. Plenty of imitators followed the great trio of tragedy, and even the predecessors of Sophocles and Euripides wrote tragedies. Phrynichus, 510 to 470 BC, who lived before Aeschylus, wrote poems and prose pieces other than tragedies on historical topics. Ion of Chios was noted for his poetry and prose other than Epidemiae, the first recorded collection of anecdotes. Once he finished third to Euripides and Iophon in the competition, Agathan started his brief career, winning first place for his debut at Linnea in 416. As the central figure in Plato's Symposium, his name is recorded well in the history of philosophy also. Aristotle records the main contribution of Agathan as the choral lyrics, which had no relevance to the plot and possibly interchangeable between plays. As an experimenter with form, his play Antheus has an invented plot, a unique innovation in his times. Critias, a philosopher better known as the uncle of Plato and the leader of the oligarchic government called 30 Tyrants, composed dramas as well. As a philosopher, dramatist, his satire plays discussed philosophical issues like the creation of God by intelligent rulers. The skeptical and sophistic attitude in this place is reflective of the political atmosphere of the time. Since the 4th century, a number of dramatists like Astydamas, Theodectes, Chaeremon, Mostrion, Lycophron wrote plays for the well-established theatre of Greece. Now it's time to conclude the session. The most important contribution of Greek theatre to the development of drama is the systematic recording of the performance known as script and the development of stage known as proscenium. The evolution of drama from rituals and vice versa is a key feature achieved by the Grecians. Similarly, a philosophy of drama incorporated into the theatrical culture known as dramaturgy developed an aesthetics of performance. In short, theatre as life is the most enduring idea derived from the classical Greek theatre. Please try to answer some questions. Characteristics of ancient Greek dramatic culture. Who were the tragic masters of Greek drama? Athens and the flourishing of Greek drama. List the greatest comic master in ancient Greek theatre. Further reference: Classical Greek Theatre by Clifford Ashby, Lower, IUP, 1999. Performance Theory by Richard Schagner, Routledge, New York, 2003. A Guide to Ancient Greek Drama by Ian Story and Arlene Allen, Oxford, Blackwell, 2005. Hope this excerpt of knowledge on Greek theatre was enriching. Thank you for watching today's program. Goodbye.